Hey guys, welcome back to Home Theater Guru. So today we're going to be talking about tactile transducers, what they are and how they work and what they give you that subwoofers really can't give you. So you want to feel that punch, you know, when you're watching John Wick and he punches or kicks somebody, or the sledgehammer scene in the John Wick 1, you know, where he's busting open the concrete with the sledgehammer and it's shaking the room. You want to feel that kick. So maybe you've got some issues in your response that's keeping you from feeling it, or you don't really feel it physically, like it doesn't shake your bones unless you crank it. And the reason is because to physically feel that bass, we have to pressurize the room enough to feel that pressure. So if it's not turned up very loud, we're just not going to feel it. It's not tactile. Of course, when it gets tactile, when we actually feel that impact that's happening on the screen, it pulls us into the movie or the content even more, because now it's like another dimension of, you know, bringing us into it. You know, instead of just hearing it, we're now feeling it. So I mean, it's pretty incredible to get that effect. But the problem with subwoofers are that we have to pressurize a room to a point that we get it. You know, till we get that pressure is felt on us and we get enough pressure to give us that kick in the chest. So you've got to have it cranked pretty loud. And you could also have a setup where maybe you've got a weak spot at 50 hertz, a little dip or something like that. You know, maybe you can't fix it. So you're going to really struggle with getting that impact and getting that chest kick. And not only that, if you've got especially low extending subwoofers like sealed subs and you're really cranking them below 20 hertz, your room is getting beat the crap up when you pressurize it that much. Those low frequencies are huge. I mean, doors will rattle, the walls will flex, you know, pictures are shaking on the walls, which, yes, that's very, very cool and all. And it's a hobby, so there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you can't do that, you're wrong. You're not wrong for that. But you need to understand that is room distortion, is what that is. That pulls you out of the scene. If the door's shaking, the walls are vibrating, you're worried about, you know, the room falling down around you, you know, you're not engaged in that scene at that point. You've been yanked out of it because the room's about to fall apart. The tactile transducer is not meant to replace a sub. It's meant to augment the sub. It's meant to take over down low and to give you that impact. Because basically what it is, it's a subwoofer motor attached to your seat. Now they have different kinds of tactile transducers, but most of them are, you know, just going to bolt to the back of the butt of your seat, to the wood frame back there. And so it's going to shake the seat. And what that does is you're basically attaching a subwoofer motor to your seat. So when something happens on the screen, a kick or something like that, you're actually getting a tactile response no matter the level. And if you've got some dips and nulls in your response, you know, in your room, that tactile transducer doesn't have that issue. So it's going to be linear, so it doesn't have a 50 hertz dip. It's, you know, it's where your subwoofers may have a problem there, they don't. You know, those lower frequencies where your room's getting beat the crap up because you've got all this subwoofer pressure in the room, tactile transducer is going to be able to give you that tactile experience without affecting the room. And also, if you add more subs to your subwoofer system, like even if you put near field subs, you know, you may have a great response. You know, if you added them to your overall system, you may still have a good response at your seat. You could screw it up, but let's say it's good there. Other seats are going to now be affected. So if you use a room mode calculator to properly set up your subs and your seats, now you've thrown a subwoofer in a spot that wasn't predicted, or we didn't calculate out, you know, with the quarter points or wherever we are to fix room modes in the room. You may have just trashed the other seats in the room. So it causes a lot of issues when you just start throwing subs anywhere in a room and not really paying attention to the room modes. So with tactile transducers, we don't have to worry about that. Our seat-to-seat response is kept intact. And because everything below, say 20 hertz is considered not really audible, but mostly tactile, I've had cheap tactile transducers like the Dayton BST1. You know, I know they don't extend that low. You know, they're not gonna reach down to 10 hertz, you know, but I understand that. But I'll tell you what, they're still better than not having transducers or tactile transducers in your room. And those are on systems that I was scared to crank the systems because the subs had so much output. I mean, the room would start shaking violently. I mean, there was just so much pressure in the room that I would tap out before they did. In other words, my system now is like that with the dual devs. I mean, during Maverick, when the jets would take off, I'm on concrete and my pants legs would shake just from the output from the subs. Now, of course, the whole time I'm thinking, man, I wish I had tactile transducers, you know, because I know that scene would have been that much more intense and that much more realistic had I had them. And the reason I didn't have them is because I was waiting on some Crosons to come in. I think it's Crosons, it might be Crowsons. I need to check on how you pronounce that before I make any more videos on them. But I've got those actually just came in today, and instead of shaking the seat, they're a little bit different in that it's an actual actuator that goes under the seat and it kind of lifts it, and they're supposed to be the most natural kind of transducer or tactile experience you can get. So on the upcoming videos that you're gonna see very soon, you're gonna see me take those tactile transducers and make them fit a set of Valencia Tuscany seats. And I'm gonna show you guys how to make them fit and also how to align them to your subs. Now, I like a more natural experience. I do not want to get pulled out of the movie by seats shaking so bad I feel like I'm actually in an earthquake. So I'm not a fan of that. I like to dial mine back to where it fills in and takes over for the sub down low and feels very natural. So some people like to have it to where it's just shaking the crap out of the seat. And if that's what you like, there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, some people think that's all tactile transducers are for. They don't feel natural, they feel goofy. That's because of the way they were set up. That was not a setup that I would like either, but that is all that was. If they're set up properly, you won't even really notice it. You're just going to feel everything in another dimension, basically. I mean, it is incredible. It's an incredible experience, and once you have it, it's very hard to live without. I've been without them for a few years now because we've built a house and everything like that, but my previous 2 theaters have them. So knowing what I'm missing out, it's very difficult because I know what I'm missing out. I'm really looking forward to having them back again with the Croson. All right, guys, hopefully this has been informative so you kind of understand what they do, because most people just think I've got lots of subs. I don't need them. You know, and if you think that, you're completely missing the point of them, and frankly, you're missing out. And you know, some people just keep adding more and more and more subs. In my opinion, you're kind of wasting money if you haven't physically taken a subwoofer motor, you know, which is basically what it is, and attached to your butt. When you've done that, then you can really experience, you know, what they're all about, and, you know, decide if you want to add more subs down the road, which really I doubt most of you will. So even though some of them can be expensive, like the Crosons aren't cheap, but when you look at the price of subs, I mean, subs aren't cheap either. There's definitely different price ranges, so, you know, get what fits your price range. But of course, with a higher price range, you do get, you know, a lower extension, more linear response. And with the Crosons, is just a totally different type of transducer in the way it lifts the seats versus just shaking them. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I'm fixing to do some unboxings, including the Croson. So if you want to see that, those unboxings, we've got some ToneWinner amps that I'm fixing to unbox as well, and they're going to be going in the theater. I'll be doing reviews on those. If you want to see those, you want to see the Croson videos coming up and how to get your tactile transducers aligned to the system in time, and how to set up, you know, the upper level so you don't have vocals and stuff into your tactile transducers and feeling goofy when somebody talks, your butt's vibrating, you don't want that. So we're going to cover all that, guys. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when the new videos come out. Give this video a thumbs up. I do have some links down in the description for some of my favorite tactile transducers that I've used in the past, as well as the Croson here. So, you know, check those out. Those are affiliate links, so I'll make a few pennies, you know, if you purchase something off of Amazon, you know, for instance, or from Audio Advice. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. I'll see y'all for the next one.